if you aren't aware, I have this whole theory that Cedric Diggory and Edward Cullen are the same person. I have evidence. Here's my TikTok.
Cedric Diggory is alive, and I have evidence. Cursed has a lot to do with Time Turner mayhem and trying to keep Cedric alive. It worked, and they accidentally kept him alive. Albus and Scorpius figured this out pretty quick, but they didn't want to have to kill him, although they knew it would mess up the timeline. So Scorpius came up with a plan. Scorpius knew that there was somebody in the Malfoy line who, in the 1900s, moved to America, and they never heard from him again. So, naturally, they decide to send Cedric back in time to the care of Carlisle Malfoy. Carlisle ran away because he was a vampire. He knew that caring for Cedric meant that he would have to turn him to a vampire too, so he obliviated him, gave him whole new memories, and turned him as well. Despite the memory loss, Edward still remembered legitimacy, and that's why he can read minds. Look at these two and tell me they're not the same person.
Okay, so yeah, there's that, right? Like, there's that, all right? But, like, I mean, when you get down to it, everything matches up way better than you'd think, all right? So, I mean, it's like, bro. Okay, think about it, right? So, here's my thing. These are a lot of the comments that we're getting. First of all, people didn't know that I was making a joke when I said, look at these two and tell me they're not the same person. Yes, I know they're both played by Robert Pattinson. My goodness, you guys do not understand my humor. It just goes right over people's heads, which is hilarious. But another deal. You ready? So let's get down to like what people are saying, right? In the comment section about like why this is wrong, that sort of thing. First of all, they were saying, but what about when Carlisle was with the Volturi? He lied about that. He did. He lied about the Volturi. Here's my thought process, right? So you've got some vampires that naturally have powers, and then some that don't. Those vampires are wizards and witches that got turned. Like they literally, like why else would some vampires have it and some vampires not have powers? I think that when somebody with magical blood gets turned into a vampire, they retain at least one or two powers. I think the Volturi are wizards and witches that have turned into vampires that are trying to hide from the wizarding world. That's why they're trying to make sure that the vampires stay underground, because the wizards would be after them like they are the werewolves. Bro, it literally makes so much sense. I love this theory so much, okay? So then, like, you get into all these thoughts like, well, what, Carlisle's not centuries old? No, he's not. Carlisle is not centuries old. No way. But then how does he have all this money? He's a Malfoy, I told you. He's a Malfoy. That's how he has all his money. All right? It's not because he's been working as a doctor for all these years. No. And my theory too, he was a healer. He was a healer. Rogue vampire comes in, right, to St. Mungo's. He gets bit. Vampire. And the Volturi come after him because they're like, listen, we can't have people knowing that you're a vampire with powers. Right? Okay, and then here's some stuff that I love that correlate between Cedric and Edward Cullen. So funny. It's so funny. So Cedric is a big Quidditch star, right? So Carlisle is like, well, I'm going to introduce Edward into something that would be similar to Quidditch. What would he introduce him to? Baseball. That time period, a sport similar to Quidditch that would be popular in America at that time, baseball. That's why Edward loved baseball. God, I love this theory. I've got more. Also, side note, Cedric was a seeker. And what do we see Edward doing? Going and chasing after the baseball. He played the same position. He played the seeker equivalent in baseball. Also, I just had this thought too. Edward Cullen is a Hufflepuff. That man is not a Gryffindor. He is not a Ravenclaw. That man, Hufflepuff. Through and through. He is a Hufflepuff. Nothing against Hufflepuffs, but Edward Cullen is one. So, all right. So the part we've all been waiting for, right? Bella Swan. She's a witch. 100%. That girl is a witch, and you cannot change my mind. So let's talk about when Bella and Edward first meet, right? What can he not do? Read her mind. Why? Well, if he's using legitimacy, then you know what she's going to use? Occlumency. That's her most used spell that she uses against Edward. All right? And then, right, that's why it carries over into when she becomes a vampire. And that's why she wanted to be turned so bad, to prove to the ministry that once you're turned, you do retain a power or two. She was going to go back to the ministry for it. That's why she wanted to be turned so bad. But I think she actually fell in love with him or something. And then when she first moved, everyone was like, oh, are you really from Phoenix? You're so pale. She's not from Phoenix. She's from England. She is from England. She is not from Phoenix. She worked with the ministry. 100%. And then, why can Edward not get her smell out of his mind? Amortentia. They decided, I hope I'm saying that right. Not think about that. Yeah. So she decided she was gonna love potion him to be able to get information out of him. I 100% believe this theory. And the reason, all right, that like everything started to change is because she started to fall for him. I believe she started to fall for him. I believe all the backstories and that sort of thing are made up. I believe Charlie may be her dad. I think. I don't know, this is a crazy theory, and I know that not everything meshes up. There's probably a way, if I sat here for another 5 hours thinking about it, for me to make everything click, all right? But, I mean, it just meshes up, though. Like, the more you think about it, the more it clicks. Like, I mean, in the same, like, could you imagine if a vampire got out in Hogwarts? What damage that would cause? Can you imagine that? It would be irreparable damage. That's all the theory I have for now. I hope you liked it. This was fun to make. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know. But yeah, do what you will with that information. Take it, leave it, write fan fiction on it. I would love to read your fan fiction, by the way. But thank you for watching all the way through. I hope you have a wonderful day, loves.